April Thompson, and I am an amateur mycologist, which is a fancy term for someone who studies mushrooms. I am by no means an expert, advanced beginner, but I'm going to be sharing a few things that I find and a few things that I've learned over the years with you guys. I'm very excited for the Mushroom Art Festival this year and encourage you guys to get involved. Eventually we'll be back out there in the woods together. So come along my journey. We found a mystery mushroom here. Not sure what this is. I want to use this opportunity to talk about identifying characteristics. You want to pay attention to where you found it, not only geographically, but is it on a tree? What kind of tree? Right here it's in leaf litter. Is it near a particular kind of tree? That can be important. You also want to give it a good sniff. They can have smell like curry or apricots. This one just kind of smells mushroomy, frankly. What we call the stem or the stipe, you want to pay attention to what's the color, how thick is it? Does it have a sort of bulbous end to it called a vulva? You want to look at the cap. You want to see what color, obviously, what the shape is. Importantly, you want to turn it over and you want to see, does it have pores or gills, as this one has. So if it is a gilled mushroom, you want to look at, are the gills attached to the stem, which they are in this case, or is there a little bit of a separation? Sometimes also, if they are false gills, like with a chanterelle, they will kind of run down the stem. And look at the color. Sometimes it will be very different from the color of the actual cap. So those are a few things. And then lastly, we're going to do this at home. You're going to want to take a spore print to see the color of the spore, because that can be sometimes the defining characteristic that helps you ID a mushroom from another that really you can't tell from the naked eye. So I'm going to take this home and see if we can figure out what this is. All right, so finding a lot of this medicinal mushroom called turkey tail, which is a kind of polypore. Polypores, well, are literally many pores, which basically, rather than having gills, they have pores, and that's how they disperse their spores. They grow typically on dead or living trees. These are a really important mushroom for Asian healing for many years, and even in Western medicine, non-conventional nowadays, for treating cancer, tumors. And there's some really interesting research out there. Pretty easy to identify. They have these concentric circles of color that typically ends with a white little border, which is why the Japanese call these cloud mushrooms in their language. And then they are white on the back. There's also something called false turkey tail that is not white on the back, and even though it also has kind of similar colors. They're not always brown and white. They can be kind of bluish looking, but I find they're pretty distinctive, even if there is some kind of differences in color. To work with them, it's not the kind of thing, they're very tough. You're not going to eat them, even though they wouldn't, harm you in any way. You're going to make teas or tinctures out of them, and you can find out a lot more information about that process online. I've done both and can't say exactly what sort of impact it's had on my health, but it certainly hasn't hurt. So it's a kind of cool mushroom and very prolific right now, sort of in late summer, I'm finding. All right, so we were driving along and out of the corner of the eye caught this bright orange mushroom. This is actually my first time finding this, though not seeing this. I've seen specimens of it before. It is called the jack-o'-lantern, or umphalatus. This is a bioluminescent mushroom. This will glow in the dark, especially when it's smaller. Some people will confuse this with a chanterelle, which is a delicious edible, because it does have the same color, kind of this roughly flower-like shape to the cap, and these gills that kind of extend down into the stem, but these are actually true gills as opposed to the false gills that chanterelle has. Chanterelles also don't tend to exactly have this coloration. This is a little bit brighter and oranger and kind of reddish orange. They also tend to grow in a big cluster, almost like a bouquet of mushrooms. This is, to me, one of the defining characteristics compared to the chanterelle. These are poisonous. Chanterelles are edible, so it's important to know this one because it is one of the poisonous lookalikes. Behold, we found another huge patch of jack-o'-lantern mushroom. Again, orange all the way through, but they have what's called true gills. You can see they're kind of thick here, whereas the chanterelle has what's called false gills, which are kind of more rounded and not true gills. So I mentioned that these will glow in the dark. They kind of will cast a sort of greenish hue. I'm really excited to find so many of these because I'm going to take a bunch of these home. They've got a really neat pattern on them too, if you can see these. They also have, I find, rather thicker stems than the chanterelle. This is a really cool find. And again, we'll never find chanterelles that sort of grow in a huge cluster like this, as you see very well. You can see also, I think it's interesting to note kind of the color variations. So sometimes they can be lighter. I mean, these are big, but just a bit lighter around the edges. You kind of sometimes have to be aware of the full variance of colors of a given mushroom. So yeah, jack-o'-lantern. I'm a member of the Mycological Association of Washington that is just a wealth of knowledge, and you can go out on, right now, virtual forays. Definitely shout out for MAW. Their website is mawdc.org. Check that out and enjoy.